Hello, it is Krystalracquel and I am back again with a video. Today is day 2 of the 21 days of change, and that includes exercise and prayer. So what's happening is we are praying in the morning when we wake up. If you have to head out for the day and you normally wake up at 7 o'clock and you feel like, hey, I don't have time. Yes, you do. There's always time for God, so you wake up 5 minutes earlier. If you're just starting out, someone who's used to praying a lot could, wake up a little bit earlier than that. God just wants a relationship with you. He just wants you to pray. And I did do my exercise today. I did the same exercise routine that I did yesterday. It's about 20-25 minutes. It's a video that my younger sister sent me, and it's really good because it's not a lot of jumping around, but it's nice. So I'm very excited about that exercise. The topic of today, there's quite a few topics, but I have it all written down. In the morning, as I mentioned in the last videos, when I pray, I'm writing things out as it comes to me, just for what I want to talk about at the end of the day, since it seems like the videos that I'm putting out during this 21 days of prayer and exercise, it seems that they're happening at the end of the day. So I have it all written on this journal that I mentioned that I have, that I purchased prior to this fast. It wasn't actually for this, but I ended up using it for that. I actually purchased it for a course, but I thought I would make use of it by using it during this 21 days of change. So I hope you all are joining, and I hope you're finding this information useful to you. Oh, and I woke up feeling happy. I just feel very blessed, and I feel good that I'm making healthy choices with what I'm consuming. That's making me feel good as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. But first, I want to talk about unhealed trauma and seeking chaos. It's very important to heal yourself, because if you don't heal any of your past trauma, it could have happened when you were younger in your childhood. If you don't heal that, what's going to happen in relationships? I see this a lot. There's people who are attracted to drama, or maybe just attracted to what they saw growing up. So because of this past trauma or past dysfunction in their life, when they get into a relationship with someone, even before they get into a relationship with someone, they are seeking someone that brings chaos to their life, destruction, someone that they can bond with who has maybe had similar experiences in the past. And when they come across somebody who might be a good fit, that's why you really have to heal yourself and be ready before you start dating, or starting a courtship with someone. Because if someone is a good fit, you are going to scare that person away if you're not healed. And in the past, I used to think that God hand selected someone for you, but what it really is like is you learn about God, you follow God's all of his tenets and laws, and that shows you what type of partner you need. But of course, God has the foresight to know what's going to happen in your future and who would be a best fit for you. But you always want to consult God as you go along, because if there was only just one person for you on this earth and you had no other opportunities, if you just make a mistake here and there, like, that could just derail your future of having a partner. If you miss the opportunity, things go wrong. Remember, people have free will. You'll be single for the rest of your life. Let's say you found a person but they don't want you, or they were someone else. People might say, well, no, God will divinely cause you to meet that person. But just because there's so many different factors and we have free will, similarly, God is there always trying to talk to you, and people can pull away from him. He doesn't necessarily go and force you to be in his presence. You have to actually make those steps. So similarly, what I learned is similarly to when you buy a car, when you find a job that you want, when you look for the house that you want, when you decide how many children you want. A lot of times that has to do with your own choice, and by listening to what you've been trained. Similar to when you have parents, when you grew up with your parents, they train you and they teach you, and then they kind of let you go. Similar with God, like he's always there. Like your parents are always there they're always there if you need them for something, or obviously you're gonna be there. You're gonna be in their presence even if you don't need them. But when you need help with something, you need to consult them about a certain issue. They're always there, but they've trained you, so now you know how to make those decisions. A lot of decisions on your own. You typically go to them when you need real help. God, you're always gonna be in communication with him. You should always have that relationship with him. But there's certain things where you don't have to constantly go to him, right? Like when you're maybe new, you probably go to him a lot more for every little detail in your life. And of course, everyone's situation is different, but just bring that up to say that, God, he's always there. And similar to when you're picking your partner, you consult God on those things, but you're not necessarily walking through your life trying to just say, hey, let me just wait until someone finds me. Like, you're doing the right things. You're growing in Christ. You're building your life, setting up businesses, excelling in your work, things like that. If you're going to have a career, and you are doing the right things. If you need to seek out certain avenues to potentially meet someone, you're doing all those things. You're making sure you're presenting yourself well. But outside of that, my point is, if someone comes along and you are not prepared, you're not ready, it's just going to be destruction. Of course, God is there, and there can be grace if you end up with the wrong person, or maybe someone that God wouldn't have had you with. But there's also times where it's going to lead to destruction. But what I want to bring up was just in terms of meeting people, you are not going to be attracted to people who are good fits if you are used to dysfunction and you haven't healed that. That's very important. You need to heal those things, whether it's talking to someone, seeking prayer. You can certainly seek God for these things, and he can heal you. He can deliver you from those feelings and emotions that you might have inside. And in other cases, you may need to go to therapy, or in other cases, you may need to talk to someone like a life coach, or in other situations, you may need to do a combination of those. So it's very important that you monitor yourself. Make sure you're not just, it's not always what you're comfortable with, because sometimes what you're comfortable with can mislead you. Your heart is so deceptive. You need to just recognize, it's very important, like as we're in prayer and as we're thinking of all these things and how we can make changes, and we're praying for the things that we want, we also need to make sure we're building a relationship with God and we're doing the right path, because it's not always what we want. God is going to give us what we need. Sometimes you can get everything that you want, some things that you want, but you need to pray and hope that you get what you need. That should be your prayer. You can ask God, ask, you shall receive, as long as it's in accordance to God's will. But you need to be praying, Lord, please give me what I need. Give me the partner I need. But back to what I was saying. And let me just do a little side note, segue here. Interestingly enough, I mentioned in other videos that when I was dating, when I was seeking to be married, and I entered into the dating world, there were 3 individuals that I began getting to know, 3 gentlemen, and I was praying about it for a while. I was praying. Within the first 2 months, I was able to eliminate, it sounds bad to say, but eliminate the 2 individuals that were not for me. Very nice gentlemen, just were not for me. And as I was in prayer and stuff, it was very interesting to me. I had dreams about the first 2. As I was trying to pray and decide like who is the right one for me, I was having dreams and things like that, dreams about them. So maybe I had a total of 4 dreams, maybe 2 about each, or maybe 1 about the first and 2 about the second. And I can't remember what order those dreams came, but the dreams weren't, I think it was 3 dreams. So the first person, that was a dream. It was like, it wasn't a good dream. It was like a matter of fact dream, like, oh, this is okay. The second person, I had 2 good dreams. One was like a really good dream indicating some sort of a friendship, and the other dream wasn't such a good dream. So it was just interesting. So just to know, like, sometimes the confirmations that you're getting, I got confirmations from other people in terms of just like going forth, and making my choice, but making the decision that I feel I needed to make. And of course I was consulting God about this and praying, and I was praying like, Lord, show me a sign. And it's very interesting enough that the dreams, that I didn't have dreams about the person that I'm with, my husband, because I had peace about it. It was like God was showing me things about the others. That's what I was asking. I was asking him to show me things, show me, things I need to know, or show me. I was asking about all three. And just interesting, like the first one was eliminated first, and then the second one was eliminated after that. So it's just funny, like God will give you peace about certain things, and you have to also be healed. You have to be open to listen to what he has to say to you. You can't just focus on what you want and look for what you need, and God is going to give you peace about that. And you have to walk through, make decisions. And maybe for someone, God may say directly, hey, this is the person for you. And for others, it's your choice. Go ahead and make your choice, and he'll make confirmations to you in certain ways. A confirmation might even just be a peace in your heart, like, oh, I feel confident in this person, I trust them, and those sorts of things. But don't be scared to go speak to someone, or if you're not sure what to do on this fasting, which is what you're doing. We're fasting from 12. No, where our eating window is from 12 to 10, or if you want to do less time, that's up to you, but 12 is when you can eat, and the ending time is up to you. While we're in prayer, make sure you're praying for God to take things, uproot things out of you that shouldn't be there. And we have to get past this whole idea of I'm gonna go to what I'm comfortable with. I need to find someone, and just going based off of our emotions. We need to think about the future. Think about, hey, this person makes me feel happy. I feel super passionate about them. I think they're gorgeous, they're hot, they're fine. Looks fade. And I would caution women to be very mindful of that. If you are looking at someone and you're thinking, oh man, this person is so fine, they look amazing, they have a perfect body, that's somebody that I think every woman would want, be really careful about that, because you have to wonder, does that man feel that way about you? If you're looking at him like that, that's almost like an idol. And I don't know what you all think, but I do not think that you should think the man looks better than he thinks you look. He should be like, oh, you are the most beautiful queen, you're a princess, you're a queen. Be careful of that, because that's not probably gonna lead you to maybe do some things that you are supposed to do, or give them a pass on bad behaviors, or what everyone says now, red flags. So just be mindful of that, because that is not going to help you. I know that's besides the point, but just be mindful of that. And once again, you have to deal with things you've been through, because you're going to attract negative people. What I see sometimes is people, they start to think that people who I've noticed, there's two different things I've noticed with people who have significant trauma or dysfunction that they haven't healed. It's one of two things for ladies. In terms of picking the wrong partner, mate, future husband, what happens is they end up picking the wrong people for two reasons. No, they end up picking a person and it doesn't work out for two reasons. One, they pick the wrong person because they can't see through all their dysfunction within themselves, and they end up picking someone, ended up trying to baby them, coddle them, making excuses for bad behaviors. And the second reason is meeting a good person, but because of their own dysfunction, causing fights, and then that person wants to run away from them, or the relationship just does not work out. Or of course, within that second situation, maybe even somebody approaching them and then not wanting that person, and sabotaging because of their past trauma. In that first situation, ladies, coddling men, be careful. You need to just be with yourself for a while. Deal with anything that you're going through. Love yourself, take care of yourself, exercise, go to the gym. Those are the things that are going to help you. Those are the things that are going to build your confidence. Those are the things that are going to help you see clearly, coupled with prayer with God. And In addition, there's no reason men don't need you to coddle them. They're good. They're strong. They can handle a lot more than what we can handle. So of course our men, they can be a little bit babyish sometimes and they get spoiled, but you really need to deal with some of those issues that you're having, because someone who's fully healed and operating from a good place, they can see dysfunctional behavior. Let's say, they're dating someone or they're getting to know someone, and their reaction is based on who they are, them, knowing who they are in God and having an identity in Christ. They're going to be able to call out bad behavior, like, oh, you said you said you would call me at night. What happened? And then when he says, oh man, I just was working late, then that lady might come back and say, okay, well, don't tell me you're going to call me and not call me. I don't think that's acceptable. That could be within the first couple weeks of talking. But of course you don't say it with the attitude. Like I had a little, with it, but, just say, hey, if you're not going to be able to call me, send me a text or let me know, because I'm used to people. I look at those things and those things matter to me. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Honesty is very important to me. Obviously, you don't have to say all of that, but someone who's healed will say something along those lines, versus someone who's not healed and will accept less than what they deserve. They will say, well, he'll say, oh, well, I couldn't call you. I fell asleep, or it got late. And then say, okay, no problem. It's okay, babe. Or, well, you shouldn't be calling him babe after a couple weeks, but he'll say, okay, no problem. And then he does it again. Okay, no problem. And he's doing it forever. They're already in a relationship. And she's like, yeah, he's just like that sometimes. Versus the other one who was fully, knowing herself, what she will accept, what she deserves. She, maybe the guy he stopped doing that. He never did that again. He never was calling late. He always made sure that he let her know if something came up. Or, maybe he just ended up not being a fit. But there's a difference there. So it doesn't necessarily mean that a person in that situation is so bad, the guy, but the response can dictate how the relationship goes, or if there's a relationship at all. And then in terms of the other scenario that I mentioned, attracting chaos. So you may have a good guy, and you can train him to be bad. Let's say you have a lot of trauma, you move in with him. I don't believe in that, moving in before marriage or anything like that, or moving in with boyfriends. But let's say you have unhealed issues from your past. Maybe it doesn't have to be, I keep saying childhood, it doesn't have to be your childhood, but you have unhealed issues from your past, and now you're bringing those into your relationship. You start going crazy. You like to curse, so you start cussing him out. And then initially he's healed, so he doesn't really know what's going on. But then over time, maybe you're with him for a while, 3 years, 4 years, and then he eventually starts doing the same thing. And now you both are screaming at each other, yelling, and it's escalating. So it's so important to be healed when you are getting into a relationship with someone, because that can definitely lead you into chaos, confusion. And when you start living with people, when you're in a situation where you start being intimate with people, there's a possibility that you can have kids. And then of course you're bringing children into a destructive environment with two people who are constantly going at each other. And when you have a relationship, well, at least a marriage, you're supposed to be one with someone. And even if you're not married, that person should not be your enemy. And you definitely don't want to bring children into that environment with two enemies who are supposed to be their parents. And what's potentially going to happen is the child will grow up in dysfunction, or the parents will separate, and now the child is living in a home with a mom, most likely a mom, and she's probably angry at the father for deserting her, but in reality they both were very toxic with one another. And in that situation, I'm not fully putting the blame on the woman at all, because now that it's the man's fault that he also became toxic. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. So that's the main thing in terms of that. Be careful with those things. I know we all want to date. I've been in that situation where I really wanted to date and I wanted to be married, but I've found that during that time when I was waiting to be married for all those years, I think I really, really started crying out to God to be married when I was 28. And I didn't get in communication with my husband until I was 32. So yeah, just, you know. So another thing I wanted to talk about is, I feel like that was the big one, but now this is back to what we're here for. Well, a part of what we're doing is the food aspect. So we want to deal with our stress. So that's kind of related to what I was saying, dealing with past issues, past relationships, also stress. Stress can cause you to react differently. I know I talked yesterday about getting control of your emotions. It's very important. And it's very important to see when someone's under stress how they're going to react, because things come out of people when they're dealing with stress. Maybe things from their past come out. Let's say they dealt with a traumatic relationship or a traumatic childhood, and now they're stressed, and now they're a completely different person. Just be mindful of those things. And in terms of yourself, you need to deal with those things, deal with those issues that you've experienced in your past. It's not only related to, what you're attracting from other people or how you're training people to be, but also your stress levels. It can cause you overwhelm. Your emotions are going to go up and down. So deal with those things in those past. A lot of times too, if you had a dysfunctional childhood, there's certain points in time when you're stressed, you go back to not an infantile state, but you go back to that child version of you. You go back to the dysfunction that was around you. And your partner may not even know that what you're doing, you're acting out of that experience that you had, or those experiences that you had as a child. Now you're seeking chaos with your partner. You want unrest. You don't want peace. You want to fight because that's what you're comfortable with. Or you seek someone that other people who maybe are healed and washed of their past can see, oh, no, that person's not a good fit. Or like I said before, oh, that person, let him know or let her know that that's unacceptable to me. Rather than doing those things, you're seeking the drama, you're seeking confusion. And it's very important to deal with those things, not only your past trauma, dysfunctional childhoods, previous relationships, but also your present stress. That's so important. And in terms of like your food and stuff, make sure you're getting your proper vitamins and stuff. I started taking a vitamin, my multivitamin, and I hadn't been for a while, for years, and I started back up. I would take it occasionally, but I started back up taking it consistently, which is awesome. So if you take a multivitamin, be consistent with that. That's helpful to you, and it also should help you with your skin, depending on which ones you are purchasing. And in addition, you drink your water. I was just speaking about getting an intake of vitamins. I have my green juice here. It's mainly spinach and frozen fruit, a lot of frozen fruit. But yeah, I usually put more spinach. In case you're wondering, it's the tropical frozen fruit from Aldi. And yes, get that water intake. In terms of the food content, I'm just gonna tell you a quick thing about myself. There were times when I really wasn't eating any wheat, carbohydrates in terms of like pastas, breads, bagels, things that had crackers, things that had gluten in it. And I found when I started eating a lot of gluten, when I moved in with my husband, I started breaking out, and on my back, I believe. And I was eating like a lot of carbs, eating a lot of rice, and eating a lot of gluten. And I found out my skin, I started breaking out a little bit on my skin. So just be careful about that. Keep in mind, I was somebody who really wasn't eating any of those things at all. Then I started eating a large content of that, because my husband, he loves spaghetti, and he loves rice and beans. And I don't make it all the time anymore. I definitely stopped. But when I first moved in with him, I was trying to cook everything that he liked, and now I went back to feeding him more healthily. And not saying those things aren't healthy in moderation, but that was becoming like half of his plate or more would be the pasta. And I wouldn't give that to him every day, of course, but whenever I would cook it, I would cook it very frequently. And I would say the vegetable portion, actually no, the vegetable portion was pretty good still, but just saying, okay, I kind of laid back on that, laid off of that, and now I feel that I'm not breaking out like that anymore. So be mindful if you're having skin issues, look at your diet. We don't need all those carbohydrates unless, of course, you're some sort of triathlon runner. Just eat what your body needs. You're gonna feel a lot better. And I found too, whenever I cut out eating all those carbohydrates, I lose all that brain fog. We're becoming addicted to food, very addicted to food. And well, not all of us obviously, but food can become an addiction in terms of eating all the foods that you like, eating at all hours of the day and night, and not focusing on having a relationship with God, letting all that stuff block us out from what God wants to speak to us, because we're just so focused on what are we going to cook, what are we going to eat, and all those things. And of course, it's important to know what you're going to eat, and you should plan those things accordingly, especially because when you go grocery shopping, it's for a reason. It's to plan or to have sufficient food to cook for meals. But just be mindful, because you don't want that brain clog. That's going to be clouding you from thinking clearly. I have so much clarity whenever I cut that stuff out, and dairy as well. So just be mindful of what you're eating and what you're putting into your body. So maybe you're someone who eats a lot of red meat, you're eating red meat every day. Well, I will just be blunt with you, that should be cut out, because eating red meat every single day is not healthy for your body long term. You could be in your teens, 20s, 30s, and all you have to do is just look it up online, and you can learn a little bit more about what you should be eating. For me, my thing has been cutting out a lot of the carbohydrates, just because that's something that I gravitate towards. I'm not a meat eater. Right now I'm pescatarian. And then the vegetable side, I like vegetables, but I mean, to me, a piece of bread and a slice of cheese or something like that, grilled cheese sandwich, tastes better than eating a salad. But there's times when I train myself to eat more vegetables, and I end up loving the vegetables more. So I'm getting back into that now, because I don't want to be someone who has health issues in the future, and I'm sure you all don't as well. Or if you do, it's not over, and there's a lot of things you can even reverse, or just do your best to deal with any conditions that you may have now. And yeah, I talk about the addiction, right? Similar to how people are addicted to drugs. There's just something in some of the food in the United States, I think, but similarly to the manner that people who are addicted to drugs act, is how people feel when they don't get food. Obviously not exactly, just wait a minute, let me explain. So you know how people who use drugs, it's like an addiction. They need it, they want it, and they go and get it. When you are constantly overeating, you'll eat at all times of the day, night, whenever you want to eat, and there's no discipline in that. That's the point. Similar to how there's no discipline for someone who uses drugs. They use it whenever they want to go find it. If you're overeating all the time, you're losing the discipline in yourself, and that's so important. You have to discipline yourself, discipline your mind, and that's going to help you discipline yourself in all areas of your life. And also the exercise. That's something I'm so excited about doing every single day. Exercise, back into the swing of things. And that helps me, and it'll help you get back on that journey in terms of having a habit and sticking to it. And it's so important. It's not all about your shape. It's not even the focus. The focus is health. So that's why I'm doing it. It's health. It's important. You're supposed to move every day. You're supposed to You know, do some form of exercise every day that's supposed to, you know, keep your body functioning, you know, letting you have those muscles, keep your muscles maintain your figure, physique, and also keep you, give you a strong heart. So those things are super important. And you want to just give yourself the opportunity to listen to that inner voice, your inner child, as people say. Anything that you've done that you're not proud of, just release it. Be okay with who you are. That's something that I want to talk about with you all. It's very important to just honor the person that you are today. Learn to love yourself and move on. If there's things that are affecting you, or if you notice that maybe your emotions are a little off, or you are feeling you overreact to things, just really look at why. Think back to something that maybe happened to you in your childhood. If you can remember, you can even pray and ask God to reveal things to you about why you act the way that you act. And this is only if you notice it, right? So if you notice that maybe other people react a certain way and you are constantly acting one way, I would urge you to try to look and see whether or not what you're doing is dysfunctional. And if you don't recognize anything that's wrong with you, pray to God, ask him to reveal things to you, and he will do that. He will show you. He wants to be close to you, and he wants you to be who he called you to be, and that includes molding you little by little, refining who you are. And then finally, in terms of peace and freedom, you have to have peace, and having that inner peace includes loving yourself, loving God, loving those around you, not being envious of other people, and just being free to be who you are. You have to have freedom. You don't want to have a lot of stress on you. You want to give yourself time to rest and relax and just walk into your purpose, walk into your life, life's goals and purposes, and take some time to rest. That's going to give you more peace, and once you have more peace, you'll have more freedom to be who you are and keep going from there. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. I'll be back again for day 3 through 21. If you have any questions, put them down below, or you can, if you have a question in terms of me helping you or me walking through a problem on my videos, just simply send me an email based on what's in the description below, or if you're interested in what I talked about, leave a comment below, and I will be back again. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.